Welcome to another Real Estate Talk Show, featuring highlights of the best interviews from our national real estate radio show. Here's another property expert.
Well, for some time in the show, we've been telling you the danger of looking at medians only when measuring the market, and finally, a lot of people are starting to come around to that way of thinking. We're talking about other data suppliers. Of course, that's been the barrow we've been pushing with Pricefinder for some time. Kent Lardner joins me once again. Kent, I thought we might focus a little bit in this segment where we're looking at defining some of the research terms in the difference between median and average, and why it really is dangerous to use the medians as a measure.
Yeah, the numeric mean, or the average as we've always known it, is where we tally up all the values and then divide it by how many are in the sample. That's what most people refer to as an average. What we find that is often that is skewed very heavily, so that one we very rarely use. Now, medians are the middle value, so when you line up all your prices from lowest to highest, you take the sale value of the middle value. And what we find is that is a lot more robust measure, certainly when you compare it to the mean average or the numeric average. The median is a much more robust measure.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with growth in values.
It is. That's exactly our point. It would give you a very good snapshot of, typically the best way to look at it is to say 50% of the market sells above this value or below that value, which gives you a really good interpretation of the market. But in terms of tracking growth, it can be very deceptive, because we can find that the market can be very active at the lower end of the market, which we did find in the first home buyer phase a year or so ago. And then suddenly now we're finding that the middle and upper end of the market's starting to become a little bit more active, and suddenly the medians jumped up significantly.
So what is the best way to measure the growth in value in a market, Kent?
Well, ultimately, there is no perfect measure. What we prefer to do is to actually take a sample or a selection of properties that are sold, and what we do is we change the date of those particular properties and retrospectively value them as of a year ago. But what I personally like to do then is use the Pricefinder tool so that we can adjust for the quality variation between those properties, because one of the things we also find is a lot of the indices can really skew where there's a lot of renovation going on. So if you can control for the size differences between the properties and also the quality variation that may happen in those properties, you can come up with a much more accurate figure. So Pricefinder can do that.
So if you want to have a look at a practical example of what we're talking about here, go to the website realestatetalk.com.au. That's all the W's, realestatetalk.com.au. And under reports, you go to see the market wrap that Kent puts together for us on the Brisbane market. And what we prepare that for the guys in breakfast every Friday morning, and we talk about it every Friday morning. But essentially what it is, Kent, we've looked at some sales, six or seven sales that occurred last weekend, and then retrospectively valued those 12 months ago, so we can see the real growth in those particular properties over the last 12-month period.
Yeah, and if you really want to deep dive into a given locality, what you do is you go and find a multitude of sales that have happened in that particular area, and you repeat that specifically for those properties as of a year ago. So you get a great insight into a given local market.
So all of these tools are available, and the good news is that it's now available free. If you'd like, for 4BC listeners, if you'd like to go to that website, www.realestatetalk.com.au, absolutely free of charge there, just underneath the video, you're going to see a button that allows you to try Pricefinder free for one session. Now, I've got to say to you that you can search as many properties as you'd like in that session, and it's totally free. Now, if you go to any other data suppliers, for each property you search, they're going to charge you anywhere between $60 and $90. So it depends on what type of search you do. But with this, because you're a 4BC listener, you can get it absolutely free of charge. That website again is www.realestatetalk.com.au, and you'll find the link there. And that's thanks to our very good friends at Pricefinder. Kent, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.